This is a Pentagon-funded psychological operations research arm of the Pentagon. And you'll see, like, it's called the COVID-19 infodemic. Because they published this in April 2020 after COVID got its name, but they started this before it did. And if you scroll down to, I think, page 5 here, you'll see. So this is, by the way, an AI generated network map of all people expressing skepticism about the origins of COVID and different conspiracy theories. So if you scroll down to page 5, it says a key analytical highlights of these maps. Okay, so you'll see that similarly, large mega clusters of U.S. right-wing accounts were diminishing the mainstreaming of the coronavirus conversation. If you scroll down to the next one, you'll see they've dedicated coronavirus disinformation map seated on disinformation-specific hashtags, reveals that conservative groups had a larger total presence of COVID heterodox opinions. This is right at the outbreak, 1 month into it. A Pentagon-funded PsyOps firm is doing political mapping, not in the U.S., in the U.K., in Italy. So they found that disproportionately it's conservatives who need to be censored more. And if you just scroll down through this, I'll show you some highlights.
What was this in regard? This was disinformation in regard to the origin at this point?
Yes. So, and you can run a Control F.
Which is wild that they were already countering when the origin was not really disclosed yet. It was still being debated.
Right. And you'll see they even, so again, this is the Pentagon creating network maps. We're paying for this effectively to protect the online reputation of Bill Gates and George Soros. You'll see they have a whole section on, if you just run a Control F for Gates or Soros, you'll see this as well. But you'll see that they map these different conspiracy. How much would Bill Gates or George Soros need to pay a cloak and dagger public relations shop to scour the entire internet and create targetable, censorable demographic communities that social media should censor in order to protect their reputation? This is us paying the Pentagon to pay a PsyOps firm to protect the reputation of Bill Gates and George Soros from conspiracy theories online. And they did the same thing with COVID origins. They did the same thing with vaccines. This same group, Graphica, was a part of something called the Virality Project, which mapped out 66 different claims of, if you questioned COVID vaccine efficacy, if you question masks and their efficacy, if you question policies around lockdowns, all of that was systematically mapped. All 4 of the entities involved in the Virality Project, by the way, were U.S. government funded in terms of at the organizational level. University of Stanford and the University of Washington, who are 2 of those 4, received a joint $3 million grant from the National Science Foundation, which again is this basically civilian side of DARPA. The Graphica has received $7 million in Pentagon funds, and then the nastiest one of them all is this group, the Atlantic Council, which gets annual funding over $1 million a year from the Pentagon, over $1 million a year from the State Department. It also gets annual funding from the CIA, cutout National Endowment for Democracy. It gets annual funding from USAID. Basically, every web of U.S. cloak and dagger intelligence and diplomatic funding funds the Atlantic Council every year. The Atlantic Council has 7 CIA directors on its board of directors. A lot of people